Us. This is the latest Jordan Peele horror film. This movie stars Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke, and it basically follows a family that goes on vacation to Santa Cruz that basically gets terrorized by doppelgangers of themselves, aka us. That's the plot of the movie. You probably know that if you've seen the trailers and hadn't been living under a rock, you know what this film is. So this movie obviously got pretty hyped, which is crazy for what Jordan Peele has actually done, other than Key and Peele or any other comedies. He's done Get Out. He's done one film, and from that one film, he's built a big fan base of like, fuck yeah, we're excited to see what he's got next. And this movie was hyped up as fuck. Like, everyone wanted to see this movie. I wanted to see this movie, and I was very hyped going in. Gonna start off with the positives. This movie is new, it is different, and I love that. That is something that I really enjoyed about this film. It's not ghost movies. Generally nowadays, you go for horrors, you're gonna go for ghost movies, or you're gonna go for jump scares. This movie doesn't fall into that bracket at all. It's honestly more of a slasher, even called a thriller than just a straight up horror film, which I loved. And that was just something cool to see, because you don't see a lot of high budget slashers nowadays. I think, one of them was Halloween, and that movie, I think, made a fair bit. It got, decent responses, so it's good to see slashers kind of making a slow comeback, because it's definitely not a ghost jump scare movie at all, which I loved. Another thing was the direction was phenomenal. Jordan Peele killed it. You can kind of not only just see what he was trying to do, but just the intricacies of this film were really fucking cool, and I really did enjoy that part. I think the direction was really good, as well as the score and the soundtrack were awesome. Very eerie vibe through this movie. A couple of great songs in this movie. I got 5 on it. It's been stuck in my head for like 3 days, and it got stuck in my head after watching the trailers, and I've just been walking around jamming to the same line over and over in my fucking head. So I'm glad it's kind of gone away now. I'll probably come back after I edit this video, and I'm gonna get stuck in my head again. But that was great, as well as the acting. I mean, Lupita Nyong'o was fantastic. Winston Duke was pretty good as well. And not even just the acting, but they had to play 2 characters. They had to play themselves, the normal versions of themselves, and then there's doppelgangers who were completely different, disformed, different personalities, soulless characters basically, and they had to play those. And I give props to all the actors on this role, especially Lupita Nyong'o, who was fantastic as Adelaide and as Red. That voice is very creepy, very eerie. I think it kind of cuts a line between kind of silly and creepy. I liked it creepy, but I understand if someone's like, But I mean, just being able to do that voice is fucking impressive. If you've seen the film, or when you go and see the film, you'll know what I'm talking about with that voice. It's actually her doing that voice, which is very impressive. Now, a lot of my positives as well come off kind of spoilish topics, or kind of, a lot of things I want to talk about come off just straight up the ending, or the twists, or the spoiler parts of this movie. I'll talk about it in a minute. But that's basically the basic positives. The direction was great, the acting was great. The vibe of this film was very good, and I did enjoy that a lot. But there is some negatives that don't involve spoilers. The comedy in this film, although funny, it seems ill-timed very often to me, and that was kind of something that I noticed. You just killed someone, or you're trying to get away from someone trying to kill you, and you're just dropping jokes, or you're trying to like make a humorous moment out of it, and they just don't seem as intense. And I'm like, you can never know how someone's going to react, but it just felt a bit silly at points to me when they were making jokes at the time they were making jokes, or the way they were just handling killing people. They were kind of fine with it 5 minutes later, and I get it, it's them, it's themselves, or it's, just shit going on, but it's hard just because it just seems so ill-timed with an intense moment, and they drop a joke, or they just you don't feel the gravity of the situation at times because of the jokes they're making, as well as the horror movie cliches are fucking there, which I kind of was surprised, and I get, and I'm not going to hate on it, but just some of the decisions being made, and I was like, I feel like in movies, right, you always see the classic, they always say that's some white people shit, like, what are they doing in the movies, and like Scary Movie makes fun of it as well, and they're like, we run a fuck away, and there's like the white people are the ones running into the fucking films, and that's what generally happens in horror films, is that the main characters, who are generally white, happen to go explore. They do make dumb decisions. I feel like these things are happening in this film, and I feel like it's funny because that was always the joke that the classic white people would do. They did this some in this film. Some decisions were being made were very horror cliche-esque, and I thought that was probably... It just kind of felt like the movie could have been bigger and better than that. They're putting in the classic horror movie cliches, because I think it could have been smarter than that. Saying that though, the movie itself I think went bigger than it necessarily had to be. I'll get into that in my spoiler topic, but it kind of went very big, and I don't think it necessarily had to go very big. You'll understand again when I'm talking about spoilers, but that's kind of the reasoning. Now, I think before I get into the spoilers, I was enjoying this film, but I wasn't loving this film at any point, and then the ending makes me like it more, and that's what I'm going to say before I completely... You guys can skip ahead if you don't want spoilers, but I feel like the ending for me did upgrade the movie a little bit, and I'm going to get into spoilers right now, so if you want to skip forward, please do. There's a number on the screen you're going to see. Go to that and I'll get outside of spoilers, but we'll get into spoilers right now, and I hope you guys have gone. So the big twist at the end, obviously, that the tethered version actually got out and made the switch with the human version, you know, when she was like 8 or whatever, and Adelaide is actually from, you know, the tunnels, and Red was actually born as human. I like that twist because the intricacies of shit that happened in that film, especially with Adelaide's character, which I did pick on, the sounds she makes, and she go, or she like laughs when she finally does kill Red. And it's like, yo, that's kind of fucked up for a human. And then you figure out she's not actually a human as such. She's kind of doppelganger clone. She's the tethered. The tethered version, obviously, they become untethered, but she was already untethered, I suppose, very early on. But her character, just subtle hints of what she was doing, clicking off beat, or, you know, I don't... She says to one of the characters, I don't talk well. And I think that's because she literally... She had to learn to speak. And you see those flashback scenes where she's like, I got PTSD, she won't speak. It's because she didn't know how to speak English at that stage. And then obviously the one thing you notice in that film is Red was the only untethered character, or the red suit character that could talk English. That was because she was born talking English, and she was actually a human, and she went down. And it's just... The thing we were talking about before, when I say it went big, it was like a countrywide thing. And it felt like it didn't have to be a countrywide thing. It could have been just within her family, or even just within Santa Cruz. They went huge with it, but there was just some subtle hints that I really did enjoy. Just like the guy in the trailer, you see like the hobo guy in the red suit. You don't see he's in a red suit, and then he's wearing a jacket over it, but he's bleeding. He's the first one with the Hands Across America chain. He's standing there waiting because he already killed his counterpart. So he's like, yep, I've made my play, let's go. And I liked that. Just the thriller kind of references was a great reference, because not only do you get the red jumpsuits and the glove, classic Michael Jackson, but you also got, if you noticed, Thriller. What's the biggest thing in Thriller? At the end of the video clip, he looks over and he's got the eyes, and his yellow eyes. So was it actually a dream? Was he evil the entire time? That's basically what happened at the end of this film, and I like that aspect. I like the subtle hints of just Adelaide knowing where to go when she came back from, you know, when she's like, I need to go and find Jason, and she straight up goes and finds, like, she goes to the tunnels and knows what's happening. I feel like there was some dialogue that I'd like to like double check and rewatch again when it came to like those two talking to each other, because they'd know about each other, obviously making the switch, so it'd be interesting. And like, I don't know if, you know, she became the leader, Red became the leader because she could speak English and she was, you know, there's something better, but it's like, would she do that if she was just, you know, if she was born human? There's some questions to be answered there. There's some logistical matters, like how are they living under there for so long without, you know, just eating rabbit? Is there enough rabbits? You know, there's some things that happen in that movie that you got to question, but I do like that it makes you go, oh shit, that was actually really, really smart, the way they did specific things in this film. And I that made the movie that I was going, okay, it's decent, to go, oh, that's pretty good, that's pretty smart. So I'm going to end the spoiler talk there. I could probably keep going on because this movie is very, very smart in the shit that it does. But I will not. I'll end that there for you guys. Basically, I did enjoy this film. I enjoyed it more with the ending that they chose. I can understand if you didn't necessarily like the ending as well. It's very, very... This movie's hard because I feel like it's very personal taste. It's like, oh, I guess, or it's like, oh, cool, okay, I get it. And if we're going to compare, because we have to, you know, with Get Out, I think after the first watch, I think Get Out's more of a solid, well-made, done film, whereas I want to rewatch Us more because I want to kind of rewatch it knowing what I know, and that will be something that I want to do. And this movie was, it was something new. It had some gore in there. It didn't, go for the jump scares, and it was bringing kind of cool horror back into it, and I like that. Jordan Peele was a great direction of this movie. He did a great job, as well as Lupita Nyong'o killed that role as Adelaide and Red, and I did enjoy this film, and I'm going to give Us a very, very strong B. Thank you guys for watching my review of Us. If you have never seen me before, press the subscribe button, come back, give a thumbs up with this video. Please like it. Goes a long way. You already said subscribe, but you can comment below what you thought of the movie. I was close to giving this one a B+, but honestly, up until like the last 15 minutes, I wasn't loving this movie. And I feel like a B+ is a movie I love. I do want to rewatch this film. I think it's a very well done film. But I'd like to see what you guys think of this film. Let me know below. But of course, guys, have a good one.